I've always had a sharp tongue. Ask anyone who knows me, and they'll tell you that I don't hold back when something bothers me. I've built my life on that honesty, sometimes brutal, sometimes too much. But nothing prepared me for what happened that day with Michael. The man I yelled at. The man who pushed wrong. The man who stayed anyway. It was a Thursday afternoon when the tension first cracked open between us. I had come home from work early, dragging my tote bag through the doorway of my townhome with a sigh. The air conditioning had gone out the day before, and I was already agitated from the sticky heat that clung to every wall in that house. My shirt stuck to my back, and my patience ran thinner with every minute. Michael had been hired by the property manager to fix the broken unit. I didn't choose him, and from the second he walked through my door, tall and disheveled in his dusty jeans and navy t-shirt, something about him just rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe it was the way he didn't smile when he introduced himself, or the way he barely made eye contact. But mostly, it was the fact that he looked like a man who didn't listen well, and I had no room in my day for that kind of energy. "Ma'am, I'm going to check the compressor outside first," he said in a flat tone, already turning toward the backyard without waiting for me to say a word. I don't know why it annoyed me, but it did. Maybe because I needed control. Maybe because I didn't feel seen. "Could you at least tell me how long this might take?" I called after him. He didn't answer. That was the first time I yelled. I stomped over to the back patio and raised my voice enough that even the neighborhood dogs stopped barking. "Hey, I'm talking to you. I need to know what's going on in my own home." He glanced up, startled but not angry. His brown eyes were calm, like I hadn't just called him out. "I'm just checking the outside unit." "Won't take long," he said, brushing sweat from his forehead. Still, something flared in me. I folded my arms across my chest, standing there while the sun beat down. I don't like people treating my house like a job site. You could at least pretend to care. He nodded once, almost as if to humor me. "You're right. I should have said that up front." Then he turned back to the unit. I expected him to snap back, argue with me, maybe even walk off the job. But instead, he stayed quiet and kept working. And somehow, that silence felt heavier than any shouting match I'd imagined. I went back inside, pacing around the kitchen, cooling my neck with a cold washcloth while peeking out the window. He moved slowly, deliberately, handling wires and gauges like someone who'd done it 1,000 times but still cared enough not to rush. That annoyed me more. I didn't want to be proven wrong. But I was starting to feel it, something softening. An hour later, he knocked once and walked back inside, bringing the heat with him. His shirt clung to him in the same way mine did, damp with sweat and effort. "It's fixed. Should kick on in a few minutes," he said, his voice a bit raspier now. "But you might want to get the filters changed. These look like they haven't been touched in a year." He held up the grimy filter, and I winced. "I guess I forgot," I muttered, embarrassed now. "Thank you." He gave me a look, not pitying but knowing, like he'd seen this before. Women like me, independent, worn down by everything we try to carry alone. "You okay?" he asked, and I froze. That question wasn't in the manual. "Yeah," I lied, brushing my hair back. "Just tired. Rough week." He nodded again, slow and quiet. I thought he'd leave, but he didn't. He stood in the doorway a second longer, and the air between us thickened, not just from the summer heat, but from something unspoken that we both pretended not to feel. "You want me to take care of the filters too?" he asked, his tone gentler now. Yeah, I guess. That'd be nice." "I'll go grab the tools," he said, already walking back toward his truck. That's when everything shifted. I sat on the couch, waiting. My legs curled under me, my thoughts all over the place. I didn't even know his last name, yet I was letting this man back into my house. Not because I couldn't change a filter, but because something about his presence unsettled me in a way I couldn't define. He came back in with a stepladder, gloves, and 2 new filters. The kind of preparedness that I didn't expect. He worked quietly, replacing the filters in the hallway vent above me. I watched from below, his arms stretched high, shirt lifting just enough to show a trail of warmth along his lower back. I looked away too late. As he stepped down from the ladder, he misjudged the last step and bumped into me, his arm brushing my shoulder as he steadied himself. It wasn't rough, but it wasn't smooth either. It was wrong. A mistake. An accident. But the moment it happened, a spark shot through me, and I didn't move. "Sorry," he said, and I could hear the shift in his voice now. He knew. I felt it too. I didn't answer. I just stood there. Something in the room changed. Neither of us moved away. The air felt like it was buzzing, like the summer heat had come back full force, even though the air conditioner was now humming softly in the background. "You don't like people in your space, do you?" he asked, voice low. "No. Not usually. But you didn't step back." I shook my head, not trusting my voice. "I pushed wrong," he said quietly. "Didn't mean to." "You didn't," I said, though we both knew that wasn't entirely true. He had pushed, too close, too real, and instead of pulling back, I let it stay. We stood inches apart, neither of us touching, but both caught in something that felt dangerously close to emotion. I could hear my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. He looked at me, not like a man surveying territory, but like one trying to decide if it was safe to care. That kind of stare is rare. And when you see it, it breaks you a little. "I shouldn't still be here," he murmured. "I know," I replied. But he didn't leave. And I didn't make him. He sat down across from me at the edge of the couch, his elbows on his knees, sweat still glistening at his temples. We talked for almost an hour, about nothing and everything. About how he used to build bikes with his brother. About how I hated summer but loved thunderstorms. We were two people who'd never meant to share anything, now tangled in this small, hot room like fate had slipped something under the door. At one point, I laughed too hard at something he said, and when I leaned forward, our knees touched. He didn't move. I didn't either. "I'm not good at this," I admitted. "Me neither," he said. "But I don't want to leave yet." "So don't." The words hung there, daring us both. But neither of us made a move. Nothing inappropriate happened. Just a kind of closeness that pressed into the cracks of the day until it softened everything I had yelled about. Eventually, he stood up. The sun was setting outside, casting long orange lines through the blinds. He looked at me with something close to apology, but also understanding. "Next time you yell," he said with a crooked smile, "just know it doesn't scare me off." I smiled back, something loosening in my chest. "Next time you push wrong," I whispered. "Maybe I'll still let it stay." He left then, but not completely. His number was saved in my phone now, not just under HVAC repair, but under his name. Michael. The man I yelled at. The man who made a mistake. The man I didn't ask to leave.